Christian minister to say, right? She's expecting the which response. And she pulls them out, and I'm asking her questions about them and all of that. And eventually we got to a point where she's saying she's looking for direction in her life, and she uses them to help her give guidance. And I go, I look for guidance in my life too. And I can actually introduce you to the person who knows the future. And we got into this conversation about that. And on Easter, my daughter calls me and says, hey, my friend wants to have a conversation with you. We talked for an hour, and she's like, I hope I'm not asking too many questions. And I was like, this is what I do for a living. I love this. Thank you for calling today. You're making my life so meaningful that I can answer your questions and explore these things together. But do you see giving safety? Saying, tell me about that, rather than shutting it down, assuming the worst of them, telling them what I think too quickly without yet exploring what it is that they are about. So how can we put this into action? First, admire their desire to grow spiritually. I think it's awesome that you are looking beyond yourself for answers and that you're trying to figure this world out that we're in. I can really relate to that, right? We're connecting to them and admiring them for that. That gives us great access to be able to share that. By the way, these aren't tricks. These aren't tactics. Right? Because I really care about these people, right? I'm not just trying to hoodwink them into following Jesus. I really want them to know that Jesus wants to give them more life. I want them to know him. We need to encourage questions and doubts when they come up. A lot of times, because we have a high need for closure, when people have doubts or questions, we are uncomfortable, and so we race to try to answer the question. But sometimes we do it too simplistically. And sometimes we do it in a way that's very unsatisfying to somebody who has a doubt or has a question. We talk about this younger generation going through this period of deconstructing their faith. A lot of that is because of our high need for closure in the church. When they have questions or they're exploring things, we shut it down, and they quickly realize the church is not a safe place to explore these things. And so they take their journey on the road. I would much rather have a young person experience their doubts and their questions in the context of Christian community than outside of it. But we have to become a safe place for that. If you are the mom or the dad of a younger person, you need to make sure, especially as they're going into their teenage years, that you create that space of safety and security. Don't immediately shut them down. Be more curious about their doubts, because a doubt is not a step away from God. It's a signal of an opportunity to grow closer to him, to trust him more and to have more confidence in him. So thank God for that doubt, because it's surfacing an opportunity for greater intimacy with God. And so we need to, as parents, especially as our teenagers get older, they're equipped to think differently, and they have a very rich internal life that is not always obvious to us unless we draw it out and ask questions. And let me tell you, they're going to Google to explore all of this stuff, or ChatGPT. Better that we're also a part of that conversation, that we need to provide that safety.